increasingly bitter row over plans to build what would be one of England's biggest wind farms on moorland overlooking the Yorkshire Dales.
The Hope Moor project would place 20 turbines reaching 200 metres high on the peak moorland near Richmond. Today, the energy firm behind it told ITV Tyne that they will address local concerns.
Campaigners, though, say the plans would destroy vital peat moorland and the habitat of protected birds in pursuit of the government's green energy targets. Our industry correspondent Rachel Bullock reports now on both sides of the argument.
A lean green energy machine or a giant harmful blot on an ancient landscape.
Thank you all for coming. A magnificent turnout. We've got people from Moulton, from Shildon, from Northallerton.
There's only one answer for these residents living close to the proposed Hope Moor wind farm, united against the plans for 20 turbines to be placed on the windswept Barningham Moor. They'll be 200 metres high. For scale, that's almost 3 times the height of Middlesbrough's Transporter Bridge and 10 times the height of the Angel of the North.
These are skyscraper turbines, and we're in a very, very natural environment, and we're putting something very unnatural that are going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Susie Wilson is leading the campaign against the wind farm. If passed, the turbines would be visible from her back garden, currently rich with birdsong. She organised the meeting this week and was shocked by how many people attended.
I was actually overwhelmed. Our group is all about bringing people together as a small army to fight. It's not just the turbines going on there. There's also the infrastructure that's required, A, to get the turbines up there, and B, to get the electricity transported away from up there. We're taking nature for granted here rather than respecting nature, and we're going to be fools for doing it. That peatland is a natural sponge that's a flood defence system for this country. It's not just flood defence, it's a carbon storage for the whole of the world, because not every country has peatland. There's 130 species of birds. This is a particularly special haven, ecological, biodiverse haven for them.
And how determined are you, Susie?
I'm very determined. This isn't about me. This is about a much bigger thing at play here. Because once that concrete goes into that peatland, it will never come out.
Intact peat is a carbon store. We know that.
The firm behind the plans is Norwegian energy company Fred Olsen.
The surveys that we've undertaken on site to date have confirmed varying depth and condition of peat, and we will be doing more surveys as the project advances to help define and refine the layout again to minimise the placement of infrastructure on deep peat. We were aware from the outset that the site supports ground nesting birds, and the surveys that we've carried out to date have confirmed the presence of these species, and further surveys that will be done will help us kind of define and refine the layout of the project. The vision we see for Hope Moor is that it will integrate with the opportunities that it has to enhance ecology. We encourage the communities to engage with us when we launch public consultation in the spring.
But that's done nothing to calm concern here, with warnings that Hope Moor will be the first of many new onshore wind farms in England due to the government's green energy ambitions.
In 2024, the government lifted what was effectively a ban on new onshore wind farms in England, pledging to put them on an equal footing with offshore wind farms, meaning projects could be approved and therefore built more quickly. Hope Moor is a step in their ambition to deliver UK energy security, greener power and, ministers say, cheaper bills for us all. But it begs the question, doesn't it, that if wind turbines can't go here in this very windy spot, then where should they go?
So you're not against onshore wind turbines, you just don't want it here. Where should they go? Wherever you're going to site it, some people aren't going to want it there. That's the problem, isn't it?
First of all, you've got to weigh up what it is you're sacrificing. I think turbines of this size should stay out on offshore. We are a very small, narrow country. We are not full of open spaces, and certainly there's no need to prioritise it on peatland.
Well, both sides of this increasingly bitter row there, and while Barningham is the village that's closest to the moor, as we saw there, people from across the County Durham and North Yorkshire areas are beginning to join this campaign against the project. They say that on a clear day, those turbines will be visible from as far away as Saltburn. And certainly when we were filming up on the moor a little earlier, we could spot northeast landmarks such as Penshire Monument, Durham Cathedral and the Red Car turbines. Now, the energy company behind the project don't deny that these turbines will be very visible. They say the standard height of a modern wind turbine is now 200 metres. That's not unusual. And they also point out that this entire project follows the government pledge to reach its 2030 targets of achieving homegrown green energy security. So what comes next? Well, there's going to be a lengthy public consultation that'll last around 6 weeks. It's going to begin in the spring. Needless to say, campaigners say they're going to be doing plenty before that to keep their fight going.
OK, Rachel, tonight, thank you very much indeed for the latest.
Well, next, it's a problem plaguing almost every community and a scourge on our streets. We're talking about rubbish. Latest figures show that the North East has the highest rate of fly tipping of any region outside of London.
Yeah, now local councils are being encouraged to name and shame culprits and seize vehicles involved in illegal dumping to crack down on waste cowboys and help restore pride in our local areas. Chris Conway reports.
These shocking pictures show an illegal fly tip on an almost industrial scale, captured by our cameras in Middlesbrough. Piled high, the waste devastating the land it's been dumped on. Fly tipping continuing to blight our cities, towns and countryside.
It's everywhere we see and drive at the moment, and they can be from small, almost deposits and dumped straight out of the back of your boots, that's some black bins and things like that, right through to industrial levels out of the back of a lorry. Fundamentally, this is a criminal act. We want those people to be prosecuted and fined appropriately.
A sentiment shared by government, who today issued new guidance to our local councils, urging them to crack down on fly tippers and encouraging them to seize and crush any vehicles used to dump illegal waste. Figures show there were more than 65,000 fly tipping incidents reported by councils in the North East in 2024-25. That's almost 24 incidents per 1,000 people in our region, the highest rate of any region except London. To try and catch those dumping waste illegally in Gateshead, enforcement officers are on patrol with gully cleaners tackling litter. But we still spotted a pile of waste dumped on one street corner. While out filming this morning, we've seen Gateshead Council's street cleaning team in action, but local residents here say it's often not the main roads that are the problem, but rather these back alleys that have become a hotspot for fly tippers dumping rubbish like this.
It's a shame. It's a real shame. Lit on the streets. It was 20 years ago. It was never seen.
I've seen the sofas stuck outside for ages and ages and ages.
It kind of impacts everything. It impacts your mood, the kind of community that you live in.
When you see the stuff that's getting dumped, it's obviously vans and wagons, you know, and why dropping someone else's back in?
This fly tip in Bishop Auckland cost one woman almost £1,000 after she was prosecuted by Durham County Council. And the government wants anyone convicted of dumping waste illegally to be named and shamed on social media. A deterrent they hope will help stop our region's streets being used as a dumping ground. Chris Conway, ITV News.
You're watching ITV News. Tyne still to come on tonight's programme.
Taking to the stage, a new play about a family living with autism finishes its national run in Blythe. We meet the cast.
And it's been nice to see a bit of brightness this week. We are tumbling towards the end of meteorological winter. I'll have all the details in the weather later on.
Now, a star of the hit TV show The Traitors has opened up to ITV News about his struggles with an eating disorder.
A quarter of people with eating disorders are thought to be men, but Miles Astory believes he'd have been able to access more supports if he'd been a woman.
As part of our eating disorder series, Hannah Ludlow's been speaking to Miles and to other men too about the importance of getting the right support.
I will say that I was a traitor.
He made his name on Series 2 of The Traitors, but long before the cameras rolled, Miles Asteri was staying faithful to diets that would define his early 20s.
I've always been a bit bigger than the normal average guy. And then within the community, the LGBT community especially, you normally find that a lot of guys there are quite ripped, quite slender, quite slim. I used to jump on scales all the time. I would constantly be obsessed with what the numbers were, and then that would also push me.
Miles was never formally diagnosed with an eating disorder.
I think if I was a young female, I think people were a bit like, oh, there's something going on here, we need to do this, we need to get them help. I think being a guy, nobody knew how to kind of speak to me. No one knew how to kind of empathise or talk about this certain situations that might be going on that I might not even be aware of.
1 in 4 people with an eating disorder in the UK are men, according to NHS data. It's thought the real figure could be higher though, as many men don't seek help. Dr. Caroline Reynolds runs an eating disorder support service in Newcastle.
A lot of men maybe don't recognise when they're developing symptoms of an eating disorder. They maybe expect that eating disorders only happen to women and they're not going to happen to them. So that can really get in the way of people recognising that they're having a problem. And once they do recognise it, some men may feel that there's a stigma.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the My Minds podcast. I'm your host George.
PhD student George Mycock runs a podcast on men's mental health. He draws on his own experience of eating disorders caused by under-eating and over-exercising.
These fitness people would talk about how you had to be man enough, like, your real men can do this. So I felt like I was questioning my manhood, my masculinity.
George has created guidance on how to support men with eating disorders. It's now being used by charities and the NHS.
I think we definitely need more support groups for men. I think a lot of men seem to be hesitant of labels and of being told that they have something or that there's something potentially wrong with them. And instead encouraging them to recognise the concerns and the way they're impacting their lives themselves. And then they might be more open to then getting suggestions or getting advice or getting support.
Support that's vital when it comes to tackling an eating disorder. Hannah Ludlow, ITV News.
And we'll have more in Hannah's series tomorrow with calls for more support for neurodiverse people with eating disorders.
And the ITV Evening News continues after us with your national and international headlines.
Coming up on the programme, the Commons Speaker, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, says he was the one who passed information to the police about Peter Mandelson being a flight risk. Mandelson claimed it was a baseless suggestion that he might flee the country. Energy bills will be cut from April, but is it by as much as the Chancellor had promised? And a swimmer who's winning gold medals in the pool well into his 80s. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30? We're off to the theatre now, and a new play about a family living with autism has seen former EastEnders actor Cheryl Ferguson, who played Heather Trott, return to the stage for the first time since having a stroke.
Living the Life of Riley, which was written and is set in the North East, features Cheryl as the mum of an autistic teenager.
The national tour ends tonight at Blythe's Phoenix Theatre, and the production has been adapted to accommodate cast members. Tom Barton reports.
Did I take enough vitamins? Maybe I took too many. Maybe I wasn't eating the right foods. Oh, it drove me mad. Why him? Why us? Why me?
Back on stage, 9 months after surviving a stroke, this is a performance Cheryl Ferguson thought she might never give.
When you had your stroke last year, was there a point where you thought, I might not get back on stage?
Yeah, I thought that the end was nigh and that was it. And when I got the call to ask if I could do it, and the fact that it was going to be adapted so I didn't have to stand all the time, wasn't running around the set, this is a perfect beginning tour for me to have been involved in. It's done me the world of good, and I think that it just shows hope after something that has been a terrible situation in my life.
Best known for her role as Heather Trott in EastEnders, Cheryl has returned to the stage with Living the Life of Riley, a play about a family living with autism.
I am passionate about this play. I couldn't have got a better play to come back on the stage for the first time since my stroke that I had last May. It's something I feel strongly about. My own son, when he was younger, was diagnosed with ADHD and on the autistic spectrum. He's now an actor and a writer, a fantastic human being. So it's to me, it's very close to my heart.
I keep telling you, Mother, if anybody asks, just tell them. I'm not telling Elsie about this speculum.
The show, written by North East playwright and actor Alison Stanley, is coming to the end of a national tour. Adapting it for Cheryl's needs, an integral part of putting on the performance.
As people know, Cheryl is a very talented actor and a very lovely person. And of course, her personal experiences with having a stroke, it lends itself well to the diverse element of our play. There is seating if Cheryl needs a seat. We haven't made it too physically strenuous, and obviously anything she needs, we will try to accommodate that so she can deliver her role and do her job.
One of the main characters, Colin, himself played by an actor with autism.
I love being on stage. I love seeing the different crowds' reactions every night from all over the country and be as authentic and real as possible, bringing Colin to life and my story to life on stage.
Jackson's having a birthday party tomorrow. I don't suppose you and Colin would like to come?
A triumphant return to the stage, against the odds, Cheryl telling the story of a family learning to live with autism as she learns to live with the impact of surviving a stroke. Tom Barton, ITV News, Blythe.
And good luck to Cheryl and the cast for the last night tonight. Really important and insightful production by the sounds of things. Okay, time for sport now, and we saw, well, a sticky night for Middlesbrough in the Championship, but a positive night for Newcastle United in the Champions League, Simon.
Yes, they will go where no Magpies have gone before. Qarabag were taken care of in the playoffs last night, and Newcastle United are into the last 16 of the Champions League for the first time. That's the real knockout stages, the heavyweight stuff. There was no jeopardy about the final outcome, but the Champions League is a big draw on Tyneside, so 50,000 people turned up to wave off the last of the lightweights and look forward to the heavyweights. Qarabag looked out of their weight class against Newcastle over in Azerbaijan last week, and the 6-1 lead the Magpies brought home from the first leg had already decided the tie. But that didn't stop the home side starting fast. Sandro Tonali and Joe Linton landed punches early on, and if it had been a boxing match, the referee would have stopped it there and then. But that's not how football works, and it's to everyone's credit that what remained was quite fun, albeit in a fairly meaningless way. Qarabag and their hardy bunch of fans had a couple of goals to shout about. They knew they were just here for the night out, and they enjoyed themselves. But Newcastle won 3-2 on the night, 9-3 on aggregate. There wasn't an awful lot for Eddie Howe to learn, but he did take the chance to give game time to two young lads hoping to be part of Newcastle's next generation.
Kept the faith and hopefully hope they would eventually get a game, and obviously in the Champions League it's couldn't ask for a better occasion to do it on, to be fair, so yeah, I was happy. Yeah, you just have to get on with it really. I got called over by the coach and I was just like, okay, here's my moment, so I got to relish it, get on the pitch. I was always hoping, based on the scoreline, that this could be my day, and you've always got to stay ready, and that's all it was tonight, and I managed to get the minutes, so I'm happy.
This was a game that was played because it needed playing, but since half-time in the first leg last week, Newcastle already knew they'd be playing Barcelona or Chelsea in the last 16. When the final whistle went, they could finally talk about it.
Whoever we get in the next round will be an amazing tie for us. I believe that we can raise our game and compete with anybody. That's what we're going to have to do, whoever we get. But I just think it's a massive thing for us to give our season an extra boost to get through this knockout phase and then into the next one.
So the lightweights were knocked out and the heavyweights are lying in wait. It's Barcelona or Chelsea. The draw is on Friday morning.
So we wait for Friday morning, Simon. Chelsea or Barcelona? Who do Newcastle want to get? Who should they be hoping that they might get?
Well, I can imagine a few Newcastle fans liking the look of a trip to Barcelona, but I think the club and everybody should really be hoping they get Chelsea for the simple reason that they can beat Chelsea. They know they can beat Chelsea. They've done it many times in recent years. I'm not sure they can beat Barcelona, who are very, very good, and you might remember Barcelona won at Newcastle on the first midweek of the Champions League earlier this season. I know it's more glamorous, but at this stage, you've reached this far of the competition, you want to go further. Yeah. The further you go, the more money you make, the more money you can spend on players next year. So they should want Chelsea.
Yeah, big tie either way. Let's turn to Middlesbrough now. And not a disaster, but certainly not what they needed last night, was it?
Yeah, you're right. A 1-1 draw at home to Leicester City wasn't the worst result, but Borough have had a bad week and it's taken away their margin for error. So the game itself was a bit disappointing. Leicester have their own agenda, they're fighting relegation, and they were okay. The problem was Middlesbrough were also just okay. They were nowhere near their best. Riley McGree's equaliser meant that, as we've said, it wasn't a disaster. But Borough have now drawn 2 home games in a row against teams in the bottom 3. That's wasteful. They stay second in the Championship. They're still in the automatic promotion places. But they need to be better if they want to stay there.
We try to learn from every game. That's the message. And everyone wants to win every game. We lost 1 in the last 9 we played. That's good numbers, but now it's been in like it's 6 wins in a row, and then it's 3 games without the win, which means that it becomes more to get like that.
A quick pat on the back for York City, who are on an incredible run. They went back to the top of the National League last night with a terrific 3-0 win away at promotional rivals Scunthorpe United. The Minstermen are now unbeaten in 23 league games.
That is an impressive winning streak. Simon, thank you very much indeed.
Okay, draw near Choo Choo fans, because a teenage train enthusiast has been given, what about this, an unforgettable day as a thank you for raising money for children and young people with cancer.
Yes, Jack Thompson from Washington has a brain tumour and is registered blind. Now, in between his own cancer treatments, he's raised over £220,000.
Lovely stuff coming up, though, because today he was given the star treatment by LNER and Network Rail, visiting stations and getting some hands-on experience with some of the equipment. Johnny Blair reports.
8:40 a.m, the beginning of a surprise VIP day. Train fan Jack's movements are timetabled, different activities at different stations at different times, beginning here on the equipment drivers use for training.
I was very, very surprised. I genuinely thought that I was going to be meeting up with a few family members, and I've basically come to Newcastle Station, and so far it has been absolutely amazing.
The service will call at York, Doncaster, Newark Northgate, Peterborough and London King's Cross.
Next stop is York and a tour of the control centre, plus some signalling training. Jack has raised more than £220,000 for the charity Young Lives vs Cancer. His activities go back more than a decade, including sponsored runs, a zip wire and a skydive.
To have a family and to have an individual like Jack who want to give so much back to the charity is everything. To see him feeling so celebrated and so loved for everything he's done as a fundraising champion, it's just gorgeous.
I actually have a brain tumour, which has left me registered blind. When I was 7 years old, I decided to give back, basically. I want to give back.
After lunch, Darlington and a preview of upgrades to the station set to be unveiled in the spring.
When we heard about Jack and the incredible amount of money he's raised and the fact that he loves trains, we just had to partner with Network Rail and do something really special and give him an incredible day out.
It's been wonderful. He has a clear passion, great understanding of the railway there, and it's brilliant to bring him here to the Railway Operating Centre in York.
What a day you've had. How was it?
One word to describe it, amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And how long will this live in the memory for?
Forever and ever and ever and ever.
Home was the 1333 from King's Cross, on a day when someone who always thinks of others was the centre of attention himself. Johnny Blair, ITV News.
Magic day, special day for Jack, and really well deserved. Great announcing as well on the train.
You've got to love
that.
Jack, haven't you?
Fantastic.
Got to love Jack. Well, we love what Joe's got to tell us about the weather, though. Let's find out.
An icy start to the day will give way to a series of oohs and ahs. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. Meteorological winter will be drawing to a close as we end this week, but it's more of the same weather. Next few days, generally mild, unsettled, occasionally windy with a few spells of rain. It'll be a mixed weekend, with the brighter day probably being Saturday. A cold front went through today. Tomorrow will feel a little fresher, but still above average. Another system moving through, bringing increasingly damp and breezy conditions tomorrow and again on Friday through the afternoon. Back to the details for this evening and overnight. Here in the northeast, it'll be pretty misty and murky with some fog for the Cheviots and the Pennines before dawn, and bits and pieces of showery rain moving in west to east as we head through the night tonight. As you can see from those temperatures, there's no danger of any frost or ice. That's probably around a seasonal average for this time of year by day, 8 or 9 Celsius, the overnight low. On to tomorrow, and we'll see things turning increasingly breezy, particularly for western areas through the course of the day. Not much in the way of brightness, a pretty cloudy day to come, bits and pieces of showery rain becoming a little more intense through the afternoon as that rain band moves in across most places but eases off perhaps for eastern areas by the end of the day. Temperature-wise, we're still just above average, but it will feel fresher than today due to that wind picking up, more cloud around certainly through tomorrow afternoon. Now looking ahead to Friday, a dry start to the day, but we'll see some showery rain later, and at times it'll be pretty breezy to end the working week. A ridge of high pressure gives us a dry start to the weekend, but that will unravel somewhat during Sunday with rain later. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Spring's coming.
Oh, I think so. Feels like it, doesn't it? The national news is next, and I will see you at 10:30 with a late update from both of us. Bye-bye. Take care.